We've come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord. And I am tempted to sing that part of the chorus. We've come this far by faith, leaning on the Lord, trusting in His holy word. He's never failed us yet. That's why I'm singing. Oh, we can't turn back. We've come this far by faith. Amen. We've come this far by faith, leaning only on the Lord. Father and our God, we give you thanks and we give you praise for yet another day. It's a day that you have created and you commanded us to rejoice. And even that we are at this hour, Lord, we are still rejoicing because you have kept us in our right minds up until this time. You woke us up this morning and you have us here. And we thank you, O Father God, for bringing us through the day. Father God, we thank you for where you have brought us from to where you have us. You promise in your word that you would not leave us comfortless. And if you give us a charge, you will give us the direction in which we should go. Even now, as we gather in this forum to discuss what we are looking towards, a betterment for our country, we just want to thank you, O Father and God, because your word declared that in everything we must give thanks. You inhabit the praises of your people. We don't have enough tongues to say thanks, but Lord, we are still going to say thank you. We ask your Holy Spirit to just tabernacle with us even now, Father and our God, and let it allow us to join our hearts and minds in one accord. Father and our God, let everything that is said and done this evening to be to your honor and to your glory, because you are not the author of confusion. And so, Lord, we just bring before you our panelists. We bring before you our moderator. We bring before you all who will be presenting, those who will be asking questions, those who will be sharing, that we do so in unity and in love. Go before us even now, Father God, and take full control. Let this atmosphere be of peace. Fill our hearts, minds, bless our homes and our families. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen and amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening once again. If I may ask that we move forward a bit and fill up the chairs that are in the front row and allow the space in the back for persons who may be running late so that they can sit at the back and not interrupt when the speakers are here. I want to thank you this evening for coming out to the first zonal meeting of Constituency number 1 and Constituency number 8. This evening we have several presenters presenting on different topics. But before I take my seat, I would like to invite our moderator for this evening, Mr. Curtis Martin.
One, two. Mic test.
Mic test. Mic test.
Mic test.
Good evening again. How are you doing? Good. It's a pleasure to be here this evening for some meaningful conversations with respect to what's happening in our federation. And so this evening we have a number of presenters who will be speaking very briefly on some particular areas. We'll have the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, also making his presentation, and we will certainly engage you, the audience, to ask questions and so that we can provide the answers. So without further ado, well, the format really is we will be hearing from Ms. Azilla Clark, who is the PS Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Social Development and Gender Affairs, and she will be followed by Mr. Sean White, who is the chairperson of the NHC Board of Directors, and then he will be followed by the Director of Health Institutions, Dr. Jensen Morton. Of course, there are other areas that will be covered by the Minister, and so we'll have an engaging session this evening. So without further ado, I will call upon Ms. Azilla Clark to make her presentation on the social protections within the Federation.
Pleasant good evening to all. As indicated, I serve as the Permanent Secretary for the Ministry of Social Development and Gender Affairs, which incorporates the Department of Social Services and Community Development, Probation and Child Protection Services, the New Horizons Juvenile Rehabilitation Center, the National Counseling Center, as well as the Department of Gender Affairs. Social protection, for all intents and purposes, refers to the services that the state provides in order to provide assistance to the general public. In the area of social services, there are, for the purposes of this evening, I will focus on 3. School Uniform Assistance Program, that should be launching around the mid to end of May of this year. That program this year will have specific focus on the unemployed. The assistance provides for school uniform for primary, secondary, and CFB and AVEC students enrolled there. You make your application at our community centers or at our admin office or Lime Key location. Also, there's our food voucher assistance program. This is where, based on the composition of your household, a voucher of a specific value is awarded, and that voucher is redeemed at local supermarkets to ensure that persons have food to eat. Our first issuance will begin on May 1st. So those of you that might have been enrolled in the program before, our apologies, we had some administrative challenges with its resumption, but those have been addressed and they will resume from May of this year. And then we have our medical assistance program, where persons that are in need of funds to provide for medical services can make an application. It's typically not for diagnostic because the maximum is $5,000 per person. So typically what we do is, once your doctor has determined what your medical issue is and has prescribed the remedy, surgery, or any kind of intervention, then you can make an application for those. It also includes overseas care, but of course those must be referred by your doctor. The number one program that most persons are more familiar with us operating this year is the Poverty Alleviation Program. For that program, as of March of last month, we have been servicing about 5,200 households. The focus is, it is households. When we had the open application, individuals have been registering for themselves, and every household member, other household members have been applying. We've been instituting reconciliation because the focus of the assistance is for the household. It is not an individual benefit. It is a household benefit. All right, from the pool of all eligible households, meaning persons, households earning less than $3,000, I said about 5,200 of those households are being serviced at this time, and we'll have a further update as PAP is paid on the last working day of every month. So this coming Friday will be the next payment, and anybody added to that list, we will have an updated figure for the Honorable Minister to make public knowledge. The 3 priority populations: households headed by seniors, households headed by person with a disability, and this must be a verifiable disability. We've had a lot of discrepancies with that. And then households with children. The children must be residing in the federation. You'll be surprised. They must be residing in the federation, and the benefit can only be for one household. So where the child may be shared between father and mother, there must be a determination as to where the benefit goes. All right, and the process is all those persons now on the program will have a 6-month period. We're having discussions on our seniors and disabled to provide some buffer for those, because we understand their circumstance may not readily change. And then upon the advice of cabinet, they will indicate the next populations from the pool in order to get. So we know that there's been some anxiety around the fact that persons might have been benefiting from it previously. We've not removed any person. It just means that your application is not yet processed. All applications are all eligible applications are there to be processed. At this time, the focus is households headed by seniors, households headed by disabled, households with children under the age of 16. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So there you had it. The 4 areas that were mentioned is the school uniform program, the food vouchers assistance program, which starts May 1st, medical assistance program, and the poverty alleviation program, known as PAP. So far, we are servicing 5,200 households. So I'll now have Mr. Sean White make his presentation on housing.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, let me just pay respect to the Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Jeffrey Hanley. I am here to speak on what the NAC is going to be embarking upon over the next few months into the next 4 years. There's so much going on in housing that I want to just tailor it down to our imminent plans, which is the launch of a 2,400 homes initiative over the next 4 years. Also, the revitalization of the East and West Street developments. Just to touch a bit on the 2,400 homes, the government of St. Kitts-Nevis is going to embark on one of the biggest housing initiatives that this country has seen. We have taken a different road in how we are going to disseminate this plan. Usually, people will come and apply at the NAC and get a mortgage, and the NAC will facilitate the building. Now we are going to have a developer who is going to come in, who is going to build the homes, once approved by the NAC and our clients, who's going to build the homes and then have the mortgages facilitated to the banks. Now, I want to assure the public that this is just one of the many housing solutions that the NAC is going to be embarking upon. The ministers and the cabinet, Minister of Housing and the Prime Minister, the promise given to the citizens of this country in providing mass housing, we had to find a savvy way in order to actually procure these homes and not just have it like lip service. So while there's a developer providing 2,400 homes for our citizens, the NAC will be embarking on other housing programs, and you can look forward to seeing a lot of different types of housing, whether it's 4 floors, whether it's apartment styles, rentals. There's going to be a lot of different things. Now, in a matter of days, we're going to be launching an online process. Now, this is totally different to what anyone have seen at the NAC, where you go and you drop off a form and you hope and pray that you're going to get a call. Now, this plan is going to be driven by your numbers. So you can basically now stay from your desk wherever you are, log into the NAC site, fill out an application, click your desired banks that you're willing to do your business with, and you will get a call from that banking institution for an interview. Also, the East Street and West Street projects, we're going to do those slowly, because I think the West Street project, it was allocated in the budget about $5 million to start that project, and the minister in his guidance also would have said that we need to simultaneously take on the East Street project, and we would have allocated some funds. The board of the NHC would have seek some guidance and would have allocated some funds to start that project slowly as we build out the housing stock. So the 2,400 homes, what I can say about those homes, they're not just going to come empty. They're going to be equipped with a refrigerator, a stove, and a possible water storage tank. I mean, we are in negotiations with the developer to see if he can change a few things. I mean, I know one of the things that the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister was adamant about is expansion. And that is the reason why he took the initiative to change the roofing style from just aluminum and steel and going out to more concrete to encourage expansion. So the point about this 2,400 homes is to encourage stimulation in the economy through construction. Right? Over 1,000 contractors, small contractors, plumbers, surveyors, draftsmen, all of those are going to be involved in this plan. And 99% of the persons building these homes are going to be local. So you don't have to worry about us sidelining any of the contractors or anything. I am hopeful that the banks are going to be accommodating to our citizens. I mean, we get calls every day about people wanting homes, and I really believe that the time is right for us to move into this plan. People want a sense of empowerment, and I think that they will be able to benefit a lot from this, the 2,400 homes and other housing solutions, which we will talk about as we roll out accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So Mr. White spoke about the launch of the 2,400 homes, the online process that will be driving that, which is a new technological initiative to make sure that we can respond to your needs. I would like to pause to recognize the arrival of our Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Terence Drew. Yes. Yes. Please be seated. Yes. Yes, Mr. PM, so far we have dealt with the social protection. We have mentioned the housing revolution that is on the horizon. And within the housing aspect as well, specifically for constituency number 1 or branch 1, East Bastille, there's an East and West Street project, which I think the minister will expound upon when he comes to speak. So we'll go right into our next presenter, Director of Health Institution.
On the horizon. The wonderful opportunity that we have before us is that right now the Minister of Health is also the Prime Minister of the country and also the Minister of Finance. It's the once in probably a lifetime combination, such that the health systems which have been neglected for so long can actually have the opportunity to really get the attention that it deserves, and it's coming from right at the top. So with regards to healthcare, there are a few things that would have to be mentioned. First would be, we have to admit that currently the hospital that we have ultimately, the decision was made that we are going to have to build a new hospital. The site is being finalized currently, and most likely before the end of the year, you'll be able to see some progress with regards to this new hospital. The goal with the new hospital is for it to be a smart hospital, for it to be technologically driven, for it to be green with regards to climate smart, and for it to really be state of the art and to cater to as many of the needs that we have on this island as possible. It's a wonderful opportunity because many people would not know that the hospital which we currently use it was not built under these calm conditions. The hospital that we have now, it was built after the hurricane had destroyed the original hospital in 1966, and we did not have the freedom to really craft it 100% how we wanted it. We kind of had to accept some aspects of charity and cost cutting and all kinds of stuff, which we had to bear the brunt of over the years. Now, with regards to services that we already have existing in the hospital, firstly, it has to be reminded to persons, if you're under the age of 18 or over the age of 62, the healthcare services are free of cost. There are only 6 things at the hospital which attract a cost. These would be things related to the eye clinic, dialysis, oncology, the CT scan, and in some regards, the ultrasound. The MRI services are not controlled by the government at all. Those are private services, so even though we refer you to those, we have no control over the MRI services. The government is in the process of getting our own MRI services. The machine has already been ordered. The building is being constructed. It's going to take us just a bit of time because the building is just as high-tech as the machine, and it's going to take some time to import the materials and get everything finalized. But as soon as that is finalized, it's going to again be available to the members of the general public. With regards to other things, if you are between the ages of 18 and 62, if you come to the hospital with an emergency, we are not going to harass you for payment with your emergency. You'll be billed at a later time. If when you get billed, if you have difficulty affording the bill, you have the option of requesting assistance from social services, in which the case will be processed accordingly. But apart from that, since it's a government service, we are very lenient, and we can work out a very long-term payment process for you. And depending on the situation, in certain cases, there can be some leniency with regards to the billing. Nothing that you pay for, even when you have to pay for it in the hospital, is its true charge. Every single thing in that hospital is already heavily subsidized by the government. For example, the prescriptions that you cash in, if you're between the ages of 18 and 62, it's only $10 for the prescription, regardless of what is on the prescription. Most times, those medications, if it's a long prescription, it's over $100, but it's only $10 that you have to pay for any prescription. The only time you'd have to pay more is if it's a specific medication which maybe we don't carry in our formulary, or if it's a medication that happens to be out of stock for us at the time, and we have been not having too many instances of out of stock as of recent. And even with regards to when you get a hospital bed, it's only $25 a night for a hospital bed. It's one of the cheapest rates you're going to find anywhere in this English-speaking region. So apart from the hospital services, which we are always working on every day, we have seen some improvements with regards to the staff, such that we can offer more things to the general public. It was just this week that we had added to our staff 2 internists from Cuba, as well as a neurologist from Cuba. The neurologist is going to be very key because we'll now have a specialist that could assist with persons with issues regarding seizures or strokes and the long other list of neurological ailments. You'll no longer have to travel overseas to get the specific care. We now have it in-house. Coming through by the end of this week, we'll also have a general surgeon to also add to the roster. It's a gentleman that is very well trained, and you'll find out more about it after he is here, which should be by the end of this week. Apart from the staffing, we have been listening to persons, and one of the number one things that people would say when we say that we are building a new hospital is they would say, well, you know, our main concern with the hospital is that sometimes when I go up there, the staff is so rude or the staff doesn't care, etc. I'm not deaf to it. We hear it, and we have already taken the liberty to start training the staff with regards to customer service training, which is going to be mandatory for all staff members, which is going to begin next week, Tuesday. And it's, like I said, mandatory is going to to run for a series of months, and it's going to be something that happens annually. So hopefully the stories of persons giving back chat or bad service, we are hoping that that can come to an end. We are formatting with regards to cleanliness, we are really taking it seriously with regards to the environment and infectious disease. Now, even though I'm over the hospitals, I'm going to take a little bit of liberty and speak a little bit about the health centers, which is not really under my umbrella, but with regards to the health centers, there is a project which we are currently in the planning phases of, which will see the 3 most trafficked health centers have their services expanded. These would be the Newtown Health Center, the St. Peter's Health Center, and the Bastia Health Center. So for this forum, Newtown and St. Peter's would be the most relevant. We are looking at the possibility of expanding the hours of the health center from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., as well as having a medical doctor in the health center for all of the hours that it's open Monday to Friday. It's something in the planning phases. We have to work out some logistics with regards to staffing, and we have to work out some other logistics because we wanted to have different things. There was a plan for antenatal clinics. That one might still happen at JNF, but we're looking towards how we can make it possible. We're looking towards having foot care clinics and vascular clinics on a regular basis with the specialist in the health centers. And now that we have the neurologist, we're going to see how much we can implement him into the rest of the system. It's a plan, like I said, we're in the planning phases for it. There are lots of other things that we have to work out. We are starting most likely with Newtown Health Center within the upcoming months, and then most likely we'll move on to St. Peter's and then Bastia Health Center in due time. So apart from all of those things, we just like to reassure people that the quality of health service that you're going to be receiving, you're going to see a marked improvement with regards to what we have to offer. The staff of JNF General Hospital, as well as all of the members of the Ministry of Health, we're looking forward towards working with everyone, looking forward towards treating everyone, and we thank everyone thus far for their helpful remarks and their constructive criticism. So, thank you.
Oh, thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that. And if I can recap, while you were speaking, I just scrolled down some of the initiative that the Ministry of Health would have put online and through the government information page. And I would like to put a plug in that is very important that we stay in tune with the government information service to keep up to date with what is happening in the various ministries. There are lots of information there because, for example, apart from the specialists, the 2 internal medicine specialists, the neurologist and the general surgeon, we have also had 2 far infrared therapy machines donated. The ophthalmic unit of JNF was outfitted with new microscope and scanner for conducting certain surgical procedures. The nurses received leadership training. The doctors received some leadership training. We're in the process of starting the customer service training. We have had training for the EMS and the EMS service through the EMTs, and as a result, Dr. Jensen could testify that they've been getting some very good reviews as a result of that training in terms of their handling. We have also had a publication about the purchasing of 16 dialysis machine, which is in train here. We have done some equipment work and resource positioning in the eye clinic. We have also provided 24-hour coverage at Paxton Hospital, and we expect to do that at Mary Charles. And he's, the Director of Health Institutions also spoke about the fact that we're looking at extending the hours for the health centers around the island. And of course, all of this really is in keeping with making sure that the country achieves full accreditation as a world-class service even before we get a brand new hospital. It's not the hospital per se, not the physical building that makes a difference, it's the people. And so we have to work on the people and the service that they offer. And as I said, it's not even about customer service anymore, because to me, customer service is a word that's overused. It's about the customer service experience, how people feel when they walk away. And they're good stories, and so we want to make sure that the stories that are out there, that they are really, really good, and they're what we call positive, memorable customer experiences. So I want to thank, let's give the three presenters, well, yes, the three presenters, the opening presenters there, their due. We'll leave the questions for the end, so what I'll do now is ask the Deputy Prime Minister, the representative for Constituency number 1, Branch 1, to make his presentation.
Thank you very much, Master Ceremonies. A very pleasant good evening to each and every one of you. Good evening. I am happy that we are here this evening in our zonal branch meeting. Normally our branch meetings are held the last Wednesday in each month, and this month we decided to team up with our zonal partner, which is St. Peter's, Keyon, Honorary Keys, and of course that is the constituency of our honorable distinguished Prime Minister, and at this time I recognize him here with us this evening. Let me thank the presenters before. On my right you have Sean White, the chairman, who gave you an update on what is about to take place in housing. What I'll do just before you ask your questions is to elaborate a little bit on what the chairman would have said when it comes to the East Street and the West Street project. You would have recognized that a few years ago they started the construction of the homes on the Wellington Road, and we now have to finish the West Street project, and we are doing East Street at the same time. What we are doing in East Street in particular, because that one will be the soonest to start in a few weeks, we are going to be doing a model of how we'd want East Street to look like over the next few years. And we are converting one of those apartments that many of us from Newtown walked up in and spent much time in. There were one-bedroom studios, but they had 2 spaces. What we are going to do in East Basse, because we are also strapped for land, we are turning the one that we're making the model into 4 apartments. 4 2-bedroom apartments, including a laundry room in each one of them. So you have 2 2-bedrooms downstairs, 2 2-bedrooms upstairs. So that is what we are hoping to achieve with the look at East Street. Of course, we recognize that there are families who have been occupying those homes, believe it or not, up to 60 and 70 years. So we are going to be doing some heavy negotiating with those families, because many governments before promised that they were going to do something for those families at East Street. And when I became the candidate, I indicated to the people of East Street and East Bastia that I will deliver for them when it comes to modernizing the area, and we are just a few weeks away from starting the construction. Similarly, we are hoping on West Street that we'll be able to develop that space that will be able to accommodate about 30. I'm trying to push it actually to 40 plus families. And the reason why I'm saying that, because there is an abandoned property on the end of West Street that we are going to be going into some negotiating with the property owners so that we can occupy the entire block, giving us adequate parking space, maybe a tuck shop in terms of a little shop or a little laundromat, some little business component we are going to be putting there. The drawings for that space, they are almost completed, which I would share to the constituency at the appropriate time. We know it's going to be a challenging experience for persons having to move out of their space just for a while. So we are in the process of looking at alternative housing solutions, that is, for those persons who are presently at West Street. We are looking at where we are going to be putting them, and of course that to some extent would also be a responsibility of your caring government. We are hoping that the initial construction in terms of the demolition, because you know these things take some time, that we can start it just after our 40th anniversary of independence. So we are going to be looking at, or confirming rather, where we are going to ask those persons to relocate. They're going to be in homes, rental homes, etc., just for the time of construction. And you know how the technology is right now when it comes to housing. It's no longer 8 months and 10 months of construction. In a few weeks, I just came back from Antigua, and when I saw a building that is going up and it is only 5 months, I could not believe, and they told me that they are opening that building in July. I jokingly said to them, send me the invitation, I will come back, because what I'm seeing, it didn't look so, but construction now is going at a much more rapid pace, and they had over 150 workers on site, so you could imagine. And we are going to do some of that, and during our construction revolution of the housing, you're also going to see night workers as well, because we promise that we are going to deliver. And I am telling you, comrades, when it comes to housing, we have nothing to be fearful about. We will be delivering the homes. It's just today, in discussion with the Honorable Prime Minister, I have some documents that I have to peruse and get ready to sign for another investor who they are coming here, the company, to deliver homes on our behalf. Because we have said to them, we have a population that are in need of these homes, and as we modernize these homes, a 1-bedroom that would be able to be converted into 2 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms that would be converted into 3 bedrooms, and of course with a concrete roof, you and your children and their children have the opportunity to go upstairs. I just want to let the constituents know that I continue to do my house to house. I've never stopped doing my house to house. Every day I celebrate all of the celebrants in my constituency and make as many calls as I can to wish them happy birthday or an anniversary. I am connected with the constituency. I've been attending as many funerals as possible, sometimes 3 in one day. You know, the hospital is part of me, so I'm always at the hospital, even up to yesterday, so my hospital visits continue. We have our monthly one-to-one meetings every month, the last Thursday in each month. And what we have been doing is rotating it in the various areas in the constituency. So the last one, we were right here in Pons Pasture. Tomorrow should have been one, but the reason why we can't is because tomorrow is also a public meeting, and usually on a good day, my one-to-one finish around 11:30 in the evening. And of course, I've made it part of me that the last Friday in every month, I work from out of my constituency office. Whatever files I have to deal with from my main office, they are brought to me there, and I work out of the office. So persons in East Bastia really don't have any excuses at all not being able to find me, because even on Wednesdays in my regular office work, I slot times out to see our people. And I am the Deputy Prime Minister, and I am the Minister responsible for all the people. So other persons, they have been engaging me. I just want to share with the comrades here, and even those in the diaspora and those who are listening or following us online, that in East Bastia we try our best to complete at least a project every month. Small projects we do, they are still significant. For example, I promised that I would fix the entrances at the Independence Square. Those of you who walk through there realize that they were all bending down. We have completed that. We have donated several garbage bins to our schools in our constituency. The tiling initiative that we started as a skills training exercise in the constituency, and we are going to continue with those small skills training. We were able to complete the 5th classroom at the Tucker Clark. So we have done 5 classrooms thus far at the Tucker Clark. We had an issue over at our agro strip, and you'd realize that whenever rain falls, especially on the main road, it was always swampy. We try to address it by putting down a number of gravel. We are yet to continue, because the back of it is where the bulk of the water settled, and that is because originally there was a drain that was there, but that has been filled up over the years of use, so the water don't have anywhere now to flow. I've been in contact with the backhoe service, and we are going to be working on that. Most of you know this, whenever there is graduations, I have scholarships over 25 years, in some instance 30 years, because as soon as I left school, I started a scholarship program at the Beach Island Primary School, the Tucker Clark, the Bastia High School, and the Washington Archibald High School. We continue, or I continue to do that. You are gathered here this evening, and I apologize for the warmth. I was actually trying to make you a little bit more comfortable. I was able in quick time to get this space ready by painting it over, and also you can see there we were able to get that AC donated by Comfort. Yes, I want to give them a round of applause. And as we get our community center ready, we need to make sure that we have the mindset that we are going to take care of the property as well. We are going to outfit it with 2 more ACs, so those persons in the listening of my voice, you can always jump on board and provide us with 2 more split AC units. We have a big one, a 5-ton. So once we get 2 more split AC units, we will be in a much better position. And the reason why we are doing this, citizens and comrades, I promise you on the campaign trail that seniors mean a lot to me, and we were turning our community centers into senior daycare centers. We have started doing that, and that is why I am getting the community center ready so that our seniors can be comfortable. Those of you who have seniors in your homes and you know seniors, every Monday you can bring them to the community center from 9 a.m. until 2. They are engaged actively while they're here. They have their morning devotions and prayer. They have their times together. The last major activity they were participated in, they were all making their kites. This is something your government promised that we will deliver, and we have. We have it here on Mondays at the Newtown Community Center, on Tuesdays at the St. Peter's Community Center, but right now we are using the basement of the Church of God Hall. And then on Wednesdays, we are down in the St. Paul's area. And in quick time, we will filter it through right throughout, because our seniors must age in dignity. And I've prepared them already. I've said it to the nation. In October, we'll see something that we have never seen before when it comes to our seniors. Just like how those high school girls have their prom, and they dress up and they are taken to the hotel in their limousines, we are doing that in October for our seniors. We are having the first seniors prom in St. Kitts. I'll be calling on you again in diaspora to sponsor a gown for our seniors. So just as they go on sale in May, those of you in New York, St. Thomas and Miami, I'm asking you now, just buy a gown. We'll find a senior to fit in it. You don't have to worry too much about the size. Whatever sizes you send, we must find seniors to go. So those are some exciting times that we are doing. Of course, we have in East Bastia a home care group. Now, this has nothing to do with those that PS spoke about in terms of social services that we provide. We have a group of, I think is about 6 by now, which I'm trying to increase. They take care of our seniors in East Bastia, in addition to those that social services use. So again, and of course this is going to be extended to the other constituencies. We have no reason for our seniors to be home alone or home not getting the care and attention that they need. Once you have those in your area, if you know of those persons, I ask you to share the information with us so that we can go and provide that care. And these persons that are going and providing that service, they are trained, they are certified. We made it possible for them to go to CFBC to be trained, and we gave them their certification a few weeks ago. And we are also in consultation with a group in Canada who love the program that we are offering, and they have indicated that they are also going to issue another certification for those persons so that they would also be regionally recognized. I think that deserves a round of applause. And of course, in East Bastille, we do our regular food distribution and our cooking with love. So persons don't have any reason to be in my constituency, and I think I can speak to constituency number 8 as well, because similar activities take place there, that they are not comfortable or they are not getting anything to eat. I want to thank PS Azila for highlighting the information as it relates to the PAP, and I want to bring to your attention, as she indicated, that we are now 5,200 persons being serviced on the PAP program. Now, when we got into power, it was 7,000 plus person. So you recognize that that is a huge initiative that the government is undertaking. As we try to reorganize the program, more persons will be able to benefit, because as they graduate off of the program, as we work towards making their families stronger, there would be spaces that other persons would be able to benefit from. We are not going to leave anyone behind. So if she's saying that we have 5,200 persons here already being serviced, imagine if most of them graduate in the summer. It gives another opportunity for another 4,000 to get onto the program. So we are working the program to make sure that it benefits the maximum amount of person and those who really are in need of that assistance. We have been employing persons. It's unfortunate that we might not be able to employ as many as we want to in the government service, because you know what the government before us did. But we have employed over 1,000 persons thus far on the STEP program alone. And as we get ready to create that construction drive, we would be able to provide more jobs for our people. Of course, when it comes to scholarships, you have heard the Prime Minister, you have seen it, where we have reduced the scholarship interest to 5%, and we are still committed to deliver the grant that we say we are going to deliver to persons who are entering university and those who are already there applying it to their student loans. But of course, everything must be done strategically. We made a promise and a commitment to our people, and as a young government with a capable Prime Minister, we are delivering for our people. So I want to break now and give the Prime Minister, of course, an opportunity, and then you will be in interacting with us, asking your questions, and also sharing your ideas and recommendations. Because these town hall meetings are not just set for us to speak to you. They are for you to engage us and give us direction as to what you would want to see happening. It's not always about highlighting the problem, but it's highlighting the problem and also sharing how you think we would be able to solve those problems. I am proud to be your candidate, your parliamentary representative, and of course your Deputy Prime Minister, East Basse, and I continue to remind you that I am still with you and I can't do this without you. Thank you very much, and I turn it back over to the moderator.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy. And again, I had a quick scan of the manifesto that the Labour administration or the Labour Party did put out to the public, and looked at some of the areas in less than a year. Under the student aspect, we spoke about not just the student loans and reduced rates, but we also introduced the free admission into CFPC for all students. We had a COVID reset where we said we will also look at the VAT, the number of VAT days. We have increased the VAT days to 3. I think this Friday is one of them. The laptop program, we have also rebounded on the tourism front. And not just the tourism, but the fringe activities around that, the number of airlift that the Honorable Marsha Henderson would have been working on, and you've heard some good news about that. More work on the economy, and of course, how can we forget the CBI program, the CBI payment, where we have paid quite a number of persons, and I will allow the Prime Minister to break that news to let you know how that went. For healthcare, we have had the journey of the accreditation started, and some of the stuff that you heard this evening. Housing, 2,400 homes, that is on the horizon. We're working on that. Social protection, we spoke about the PAP, medical assistance, uniform assistance, the STEP program. The governance, with integrity in public life, and new laws around that, greater accountability, and the systems and processes that we're working on. And on the sports and entertainment, well, we saw at Carifta that we had some good returns there, basis for us to continue to support the young. We'll hear more about that. And of course, and it's going to be in East Basse, I understand. And of course, in agriculture, we spoke about the greenhouses and the conversation around marijuana, medical marijuana, controlling the monkeys, different things. But we are actually on the move. So this is, in fact, a working administration. And so without further ado, I want to ask the Honorable Prime Minister, Dr. Terence Joe, to give his presentation and his position as leader of not just the Labour administration, but leader of St. Kitts-Nevis. Ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister of St. Kitts-Nevis, the Honorable Dr. Terence Joe.
Good night to everybody. I wouldn't be too long, and I will give you the opportunity to ask questions. Buenas noches a la gente. Bienvenido también. And to give everyone the opportunity to ask as many questions. So I'll speak for just about 10 minutes or less. Let me recognize the head table, the Deputy Prime Minister and Parliamentary Representative, ever hard working, the Honorable Dr. Jeffrey Hanley. Put your hands together for him again. Hard working. He's with you. The PS for Social Services et al. I also want to recognize the Director of Health Institutions and the Chairman for NHC, along with the Chairperson for this evening, the Honorable Curtis Martin. And of course, to all of you who are here present. I want to really thank the Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, your representative, really for the hard work that he has been putting in. He has been working tirelessly hard. And really to deliver so much in such a short time is a testimony to his hard work and dedication. And when he says that he is with you, he is really, really with you. And you have an excellent representative in Dr. Jeffrey Hanley. Proud to have him as the Deputy Prime Minister. When I travel, as I often have to because of obligations, especially because this is the first year, he normally holds the fort, and he holds it well. And I want to personally thank him for that as well. And I want to ask you to continue to support him. He deserves your support because he works for your support. I want to touch on a couple of things, or a few things that may not have been touched on thus far. One of them being, of course, the issue of the minimum wage. We had discussed on the campaign trail that we were interested in ensuring that as far as possible, we want the workers of St. Kitts-Nevis to have a wage that is justifiable, or just rather, a wage that edges our people closer to having the type of life they envisage, but a wage which would allow them to at least be able to afford the basic things that they will need. And this is just the start. And when we discuss a minimum wage increase, it is one of the ways really to improve your life and improve your opportunity to have more wealth. Because that wage can translate into a lot of different things. And I want us to think for a minute. For example, if you work for a higher wage, it means at the end of the day, your social security will be higher. You agree? Yes. It's important that we understand these things. If you are just given something, it does not go to your social security. And therefore, if you really want to improve people's lives, what you do is improve their wage. The other thing with having a higher wage is that you are able to approach a bank and be in a better position to get a mortgage. You agree? Yeah. So that can even improve your life. It can improve your ability to get a loan for a business, improve your ability to get a loan to send your child to school, and improve your ability to really save something for a rainy day. And that is why we have to keep fighting for fairer wages and higher wages where possible, because that is one of the ways in which you can really improve people's stead in life. And so that is the kind of mindset I want us to have as a people. And so that requires something from you as well, that you have to be a diligent worker. A country where people don't work is a country that cannot grow, a country that cannot advance. So at the same time we are seeking to advance the wages in terms of increase, we also have to advance the idea to be diligent workers, productive workers, and hard workers. That is what Labor Day is all about. When Labor Day was formulated, nobody asked for anything outside of better conditions for work, whether it be in wage or the physical condition or how you are treated at work. And that is why we are striving so hard to increase the minimum wage of our people here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And you will hear more about that as we continue to press on. The committee is already together. The committee is headed by Honorable Sam Kondo and past ambassador as well. There's a tripartite committee, meaning that you have Labor Department, the government, you have the labor movement or workers groups, whatever you want to call them, or unions, and then you have the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which represent business. And they have been in discussion over this last couple weeks, really discussing the increase in the minimum wage. That is the best way that we know we can help you. The other issue I want to mention is the issue of the development bank. That we have a small business loan that we offered at the development bank, part of the COVID reset, especially for small businesses. We also offered lower student interest rate so that students can go to university at lower interest rates. But not only that, we freeze interest payment for 4 years and 3 months. What does that mean? If you are a parent, you can go to the development bank, take a loan, and you don't have to pay any interest on that loan while your child is studying or while you are studying, which means you are going to save at least $15,000 just by the waiving of the interest while you are studying. That's one. And secondly, when you come back, your payments will be low. And thirdly, you will be able to save that money for something else. Invest it in a home, a vehicle, a small business. So over the lifetime of the loan, you can save up to $100,000, which means you don't have to come back from university and live with your parents until you are 40, when you can see your way as an independent person. So we want people to go away to study, and when they come back, they're able to live independent lives, so that for them it makes sense that they would have gone and studied. But not only that, I want to announce tonight that we are going to take steps when it comes to the interest on existing student loans. That is the next step I promised when I released the first one. So if you have a student loan now at about 9%, our aim, and I will announce it, is to bring that student loan down. But we are looking at bringing the student loan down and giving the graduates or the students the opportunity to then negotiate the backlog of interest so that we can take significant strain off of the students. So imagine if you have a student loan of 9% and it comes down some percentage points. It means that your payment per month is cut significantly, which means that extra money, you can use it to go to the bank and get a mortgage. You can invest in a vehicle. Already, almost immediately, a working graduate will see an immediate change in their state of life. That is the next step, so that as Honorable Curtis was talking, we want to complete that as well. The other one that I wanted to touch on was with respect to the Spanish community. Give me 2 minutes to speak to the Spanish community so they can understand clearly. I'm almost wrap up, because I told you 10 minutes, and I'm almost at the end of the 10 minutes. So give me just a few minutes. Yo quiero decir a la gente de la comunidad hispana que nosotros hemos hecho alguna cosa para ustedes también. Por ejemplo, la amnistía. Nadie, todo el mundo de su comunidad están aquí. ¿Se han pagado o no han pagado? Porque hubo una amnistía hasta el 31 de marzo, que nosotros queremos extender un poquito para la gente que no podía beneficiar de eso. Entonces, ¿por qué hacemos eso? Nosotros prometemos eso porque nosotros entendemos que durante el COVID todo el mundo sufrimos, todo el mundo sufrió. Entonces, para ayudar, nosotros poner como sea la amnistía, para que la gente pueda tener tiempo para quedar aquí, para que pueda empezar a trabajar cuando la economía se abre de nuevo. Eso fue la amnistía. Segundo, nosotros no hemos insistiendo que ustedes tienen que pagar todo el dinero a la vez, porque nosotros entendemos, el doctor Jeffrey entiende, él siempre está luchando por ustedes. Entonces nosotros no cobramos nada para que usted pueda tener su pasaporte regularizar. Eso nosotros hemos hecho también. Y con el pago en el hospital, si ustedes tienen una carta de la Seguridad Social, se puede ir al hospital sin pagar o pagar lo mismo como la gente de aquí. Ya no tiene que pagar el precio de un turista, solo te tiene que llevar al hospital su tarjeta de seguridad social para tener el mismo precio, el mismo servicio que la gente de aquí. Entonces, si ustedes van allá y ellos te van a pagar o le van a pagar un precio más alto que los ciudadanos originales de aquí, ustedes pueden llamar, por ejemplo, al Dr. Jeffrey para decir, mira, me están cobrando más que deben cobrar, para que él le pueda representar al hospital. Y la otra cosa, y los niños, si ustedes no tienen los papeles, no le importa al Ministerio de Educación. Ustedes saben que Jeffrey, el ministro de Educación, que los niños pueden ir a la escuela, no importa los padres. Si los padres tienen los papeles o no tienen los papeles, los niños pueden ir a la escuela. Porque yo sé, en el pasado, si no tienen los papeles, los niños no pueden ir a la escuela. O tiene que decir que otra gente es la madre o el padre para que se pueda llevar al niño a la escuela. Y el doctor Dreffy es el ministro de la Educación y él ha introducido para que ustedes puedan beneficiar. Hago un aplauso para él, que está trabajando mucho para ustedes. Thank you very much. So we have done some things for the Spanish community. We have done the amnesty for them. We are not insisting on they pay all the money at the same time because they had difficulties during COVID as well. We have given them the opportunity, if they have a social security card and they're paying social security, that they can get the same cost that we get at the hospital. Why? Because they also pay social levy. Social levy is what is used to upkeep the hospital and the school. So if they're paying for it, why they can't be offered the same cost? And then the children, they're all allowed to go to school, irrespective of their parents' condition, because we believe that irrespective of the situation of the parents, no child should be abused. Every child should have the opportunity to go to school. And that is one of the measures, of course, that the Minister of Education would have introduced. So he's already working tirelessly for you. And that is why, unlike 2015 after the elections, when the government then rounded up the people from your community and export you all and treated you all badly, we have taken a different decision, that at least those of you who are here, we will treat you with respect and humanity and give you the opportunity to regularize yourself. So I just want you to know that we are working on your behalf. All right, and then I think that's about 10 minutes. And then with that, I just want to wrap up and give you the opportunity to ask your questions, because with your questions, we'll be able to discuss some more. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable Prime Minister. Now, I've asked Ms. Gomes. Ms. Gomes, you have to include the young folks in the whole thing, so we get it going right. She will be actually assisting with just directing who is next in asking the question. So she will bring the mic to you. Yeah. So who wants to start? Well, Ms. Gomes will determine the order. It's on? Okay. You said it's just stand on this side and you just look for the next person. Don't want the farmer's gums.
All right, good evening. Tara Hendrickson, constituent of number 8. Also a homeowner at number 8. Also the general manager for Hosford's Building Centre. My question is actually directed to Mr. White. This is regarding, obviously, the new procedure for the application for homes. I just wanted to know if the applicant has to be a landowner already, and if the bank is actually giving 100% financing.
Okay. Thank you for your question. The government has now moved to allow NHC, actually they have approved a policy to allow NHC to build on people who would have had lands from sustainable development. So it's not that the plan only facilitates those, but it facilitates, one, the persons who would have land, and two, the persons who would apply for land now or in the future. So, I mean, naturally, I think banks would lean to the persons who might have land already, but then that doesn't stop you from applying, and then because the homes under this plan will be pre-built. So even though you can have the home built on your land, the government actually has an obligation to the developer to give infrastructure land to build on as well, so that the persons who don't have land right now, they can access the housing plan in that way.
Sorry, I did ask about 100% financing from the bank, if that's possible.
Well, I think that would depend on each financial institution. Because the mortgage is so low, I think it's $297,000 for a 3-bedroom. I don't see why. I don't want to speak for them, but I don't see why they wouldn't want to 100% finance a project like that.
Good night. My name is Dwight Molyneux, and I have a standing issue with a beach business that I have over 80 years, back and forth. I was working about a month ago, and the Ministry of Tourism come over and run me off the beach with police officers. Throw me out of a job. Boats come every day, I cannot work. I don't know what I have done, the people of St. Kitts and the government of St. Kitts. Nobody addressing me, 8 years. Back and forth. This thing have to stop. You can't have a citizen and have offices open, and when the citizens go there, no, nothing has been done. This thing have to stop, man. I'm nearly 60 years old and me going through this all my life in St. Kitts. St. Kitts is not a place that you could get nothing done easily. If you don't know nobody to help you, God dog dead with you here in this country. I need the government to look into the issue and give me the permission to use the beach like everybody else who's over there using the beach. They're treating me, my brother, like we killed Jesus Christ. We are not the people who killed Christ. They're treating us like this year after year. You have to stop, and Mr. Hanley, you have to look into it for me, please. And then the garbage in Newtown with these cars, with these drug dealers in Newtown is hiding the guns, and nobody's doing nothing. I talk to the police, nobody's doing nothing. Solid waste, nothing is working for me in this country. And somebody have to look into my life. I'm nearly 60 years. When I get this beach back, when I'm going to get it.
Okay, Mr. Molyneux, thank you very much. I know that has been a concern for many, many years, and I have given you the assurance that we are working with the Ministry of Tourism to make sure that we bring a resolve to that situation. You can count on us that we are going to work with you and along with you. Some changes would have to be made, but you are going to be taken care of. Okay, we always talk. We'll continue. Okay, brother.
Good night again. My question is to what the Prime Minister alluded to at the end of his presentation with regards to the students from the Spanish community entering the schools. I have worked in several schools over a number of years, more than 3 decades. And when that particular ethnic group joined our population, we have always had the struggle. There are some students who can speak the English very well, and those are the ones who succeed. And then there are others who find it very difficult to do the work in class because of the language barrier. Attempts have been made before to have a Spanish teacher or teachers teaching Spanish to those, English to those persons in the Spanish-speaking community. That has since stopped in some cases. Would we be bringing that back, seeing that you have reached out to the Spanish community to allow them to use the facilities they pay in their social levy? Would that be, because it will only help many of them succeed in our setting? And I'm talking for both public and the private setting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Warner-Paul. And I am happy that you raised that question, because as I continue to say that we are going to be transforming education, that is part of the transformation in education, because the Irish Town Primary School will be one of the schools that we are turning into the School of Linguistics. What will happen at the Irish Town Primary School, and by extension the Tucker Clark, because those are the two schools with the heavy population of the children of the Spanish community, we are going to be focusing on the linguistic. We have a program that we are going to put those children in English as a second language, so that they can get the basics before they are forced into the classroom, because we recognize the difficulty that happens with the students. So when we have that program, some might end up moving out of that program and going into the mainstream quicker than some. And from September, we are also introducing Spanish in all of our preschools from September of this year. Spanish will be taught in our preschools and our primary schools up to grade 2 in the initial stages, and then eventually throughout all of the grades. So that's part of the transformation that will take place in education.
Good evening, everyone. Well, I want to say that, good evening. All the Prime Secretary here now, if they could give me the information so I could pass to the community, because one of the problems we have in the community is that they don't know what's happening because of the language barrier. But if I could get all the information so I could pass it to the community. So the other thing is that we have the amnesty, but still we need more time. So I would like to the Prime Minister to, as soon as possible, to start the amnesty again.
All right. Thank you, Andy, for your question, and we are actually considering it. I don't know how much people benefited yet from the first go-around, but we'll see how many persons and how much more can benefit from it. Okay? Thank you very much.
A pleasant good night to the head table and everyone here. I would first like to commend the government on the excellent job of cleaning this step and moving persons over who have been performing on this step in different organizations for many years onto the government stream. But my question is, after giving so many years to one business place, one jobs for so long, when you come over onto the government stream, how do you then claim even a portion of the latter years you just placed? And some of them is government, they work in one spot. Like I work health center for 10 years, but I'm now an any worker, as we call it. How do I even claim 5 of the 10 years instead of starting from scratch now on the government service? So that's my question, like, is there something in place? I know it probably wouldn't be easy, but if you could look into something like that. And in terms of the 2 weeks salary payments, if some, I don't want to use the word consultation, but some conversations can be held so persons can more understand what is about to happen, how it might affect or how it will benefit some of the bills that they pay via salary deduction. Because as a salary deduction NHC payer, there are times when salaries is paid on this time after NHC payment, and it affects. So how does this work now with the 2 weeks payment? So if we could have conversations about the new salary proposal that we have on stream. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Just before I turn the mic to the Honorable Prime Minister, the first part of Comrade Diane's question as it relates to the GAE, what I can say to you without sharing much more information, that is an item on the agenda in Cabinet as a priority. Honorable PM.
Right. So thank you very much for your question. With respect to pay every 2 weeks, or twice per month rather, twice per month, that is being studied to be implemented, and there is also consultations that are taking place with banks and other institutions that people pay, so that everybody can make the transition into the twice per month payment. So it's not that the government is going it alone. The government is in collaboration with the business community as well. So that question you asked is a critical question about the payment, and that, of course, is being considered. Therefore, the conversations with the business community that is taking place.
Good night, everyone. My name is Dion Gums, and I'm a resident here at Ponce Pasture, born and raised. Mr. Dr. Hanley, sir, just 2 concerns for this constituency I would wish to highlight is the naming of the streets. You find when ambulance come to somebody, they don't know where to go with the street names. So I would appreciate if you could work on that to highlight the names, put the top and the bottom of the streets. It's very important. And also the grill for the drainage, there seems to be dilapidated, and they need to be maintained as often to trap the litter from going into the drainage system that is causing the blockage up here upon Pasture. And to Mr. Prime Minister, you mentioned about poverty alleviation, and I've always looked at the option of the way that VAT is calculated as a licensed custom broker. I look at it a lot, and I hear people cry out, say they can't afford to import stuff and customs and yada yada, but they don't understand the dynamics of it. But when I look at the VAT, the way it's calculated, it taxes tax. For instance, if you're bringing in a used vehicle where you have to pay $5,000 environmental dues, and you still have to pay customs 45% and all those. don't know why it is that way. And I don't even, for example, government institution don't tax another government institution. So it kind of perplexes me to see a tax is taxing a tax. That way, I believe that could be taken into consideration in regards to the poverty alleviation, where people will be able to afford to get stuff from overseas if needs be, Mr. Prime Minister. Also, the other thing I would like to mention about the banking system here is very rigid in getting the loans from them. And I've been back and forth in the sister islands, and I did some inquiring. And to find out, the Small Business Development Unit out there has a program over there and do everything through them. They offer a 4% interest rate. And once it's approved, you then have to go and get the loan to the bank that they send you to. I don't know if it's done here with our Small Business Development Unit, but I would say if we're using Development Bank, which comes under the auspices of the government, I think they should take into consideration the rate, the interest rate, I did say now, to be reduced significantly so that it will also be affordable in making the payments as well, Mr. Prime Minister. Thank you.
The one for me was the naming of the streets, and I must say to you, Brother Dion, that is one of the projects that our executive in particular had as a project to be completed. It so happened that we went into another election, but it is something that we are going to be doing. Going to try to address those things quickly. I can give you the assurance that Ponds Pasture will be the first set that we are going to do.
Right, thank you very much. To follow up the Deputy Prime Minister's statement on the naming of streets. Right, it's a national effort that he just reminded me of. It's a national effort, so it will be done all across St. Kitts-Nevis. And we also, well, let me say St. Kitts for now. We also want to do GPS as well, associated with it. The government has employed an advisor to do it, and so we are going to move to do that. And that would also include house numbering. So that is already being planned to do. So you'll see that start rolling out. I think before year end, that will start rolling out nationally. But as your representative said, he wants his area to be the first. I think the question was the VAT. Right, so to address the VAT, I went to the spring meetings of the IMF and the World Bank. One of the things that was asked to be studied was our tax regime. And there's a plan that has been put forward to deal with the issues and matters that you are speaking about. Should the question being asked, 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh, 1, 2, good, we are back. The question being asked is if we should become a lower tax jurisdiction with elimination of concessions completely, so that you would have lower taxes, but you would not have any exemption, you wouldn't have any complete concessions. So that is one of the ways in which we are seriously looking at the tax regime system in St. Kitts-Nevis. So that is the first question that was put to them, and that is what is being studied now, because some of the concerns you have are some of the concerns that others definitely have as well. All right, so that is being addressed, even on a broader scale. I think there was another question. Right. So the small business loans, as you said, in Nevis, they're at 4%, and I take your word for it. But since we got in, we started a small business loan at Development Bank where the interest rate is 2.5%. So it's less than 4%. And we are now linking with Small Business Ministry because that ministry is now called Small Business. And we are going to create, or we are creating a one-stop situation where you go in with an idea, you get your your proposal written if you need that, and submitted, you get the training and support, and then you are given the opportunity to apply at the Development Bank for one of those very low interest rate. And so we are stepping up that, and we are revamping how small businesses are supported. So the interest rate is lower, for one, and two, we will have a one-stop small business ministry, which is almost completely built out by now. So those are the two things we are doing readily for small businesses here. The support in terms of everything else, including financial support as well.
Good evening, everybody. Prime Minister, Dr. Drew, Mr. Hanley. Who don't know me, my name is Yvette Mills. I represent the Hispanic community. I want to thank to the lady that bring the topic tonight about one of our big issue is the body language. But it's not only with our children, it's also with the whole Hispanic community. Our children has been frustrated. I have a daughter that she was struggling here because when she come here, the system wasn't have nothing in place for her, so she get kind of traumatized. I also had to be faces every day my Hispanic community when they go by the government department named National Security, airport, immigration, police station to make a report. The institution, nobody speak Spanish. It's very hard for us, I'm telling you. I welcome you guys because you work on us to the federation, and I have lived in here 70 years ago, and it's lost this country like my second house. What we ask is just for more opportunity and to break the body language. Prime Minister, I write a letter plenty time to you. You know that. I send you a letter, I talk to you about the issue that happened with the Hispanic community. My people here, for example, those people here has been working in the federation for more than 16 years. Up to now, they don't get pension. Up to now, they don't get the money for labor department. So I'm here again to standing for my community. I'm tired to see my people struggling. And my second question is, who can be applied for the houses? I am living here for so long, but I work in percentage, you know me. And I had to survive 6 months off season and 6 months without season. It's very hard for us to depend for $300 a week. With that money, I had to pay electricity. I had to pay rent and buy food and feed my children. And also for finish this, I just want to tell you, Prime Minister, I know that it's very hard for you. I know that very hard for you. We want to integrate to the community. We want to be part of the community. And I thank you guys, and thank you St. Kitts and Nevis for welcoming us. Thank you.
Thank you. Greetings. Good night to everyone. And good night to the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister and the head table. Just a question we'd like to bring forward to the Honorable Prime Minister, and it pertains on the committee that's supposed to be formulating for the Memorial Park of the Buckley's Uprising, seeing that you are going into the Labor Day massive movements this week. We'd like to know what the position in formulating this committee, because we don't say it's only 1 year we're giving Aya to enlight this monument that Aya say as a memorial park, and we are not playing this joke here because we've been the boner for the Buckley's Uprising Committee, and we are not seeing this year like no political garbage or stool. So we are saying we want to see things done in 2024. Give thanks.
Right, I want to thank, I'll start with Ras Aya. I want to thank Ras Aya for his comment and, in a sense, his question. He's asking about the Buckley's Uprising Memorial Park area. We have acquired the land. We have done a significant act in acquiring the land at Buckley's, something that had not been done for many years. We're also moving to actually establish the park, and we will have movements on that area during this year. So we have done a significant thing in getting the land. We are also moving to start to prepare the land and to have the park being established. We are committed to that, and we have dedicated resources to it as well. So I want to say significant amount of work in acquiring that has been done in a short space of time. While I say that, we are also making significant moves on establishing the Robert Bratcher Memorial Home. His home is being turned into a museum. And this weekend, leading up to Labor Day, we are going to unveil what the home will look like, both in terms of the billboard at his home at Fort Lands, and secondly, by the distribution of the 3D rendering of what the museum would look like. So we believe that these significant historical areas should be developed as well. Let me just one more, sorry. With respect to Yvette, thank you for always standing up for your people. As you know, we did the amnesty. We of course did not charge as much to get the stamp. We allow the people to get the stamp without even having to pay all of the money, because we know COVID was rough. We introduced that the children can go to school even if their parents don't have all the proper paperwork. And also, if you have a social security card where you pay social security and levy, you have access to the same cost of medical care at the hospital. You now speak about another factor which is important, and that is the opportunity to be able to have someone translate for you if you go to any of the government's institution. And we are going to make a note of that, because that is critical. That can be something we look into, and that can also provide job opportunities for people from your community. So maybe we need to meet and see how we can put a professional team from your community together so that you can actually be a part of the solution when anyone from your community has to go to any government institution and require a translator. So I think that is a program we should actually put in place. So I'm very, very interested in that. Okay, thank you very much.
Good night, everyone. I'm here to talk on behalf of nursery assistants. Nursery assistant, I work as a nursery assistant, and I'm here on behalf of them. I think it's not fair that you would be working in an institution for over 20-something years and 30-something years and not being appointed. Some people put in 30, 40, and then still not being appointed. If there is a criteria, let's say the preschool, there's a criteria for a minimum or maximum of 5 subjects. The nursery part, even if you have to have the criteria of how much years you put in the system, but I find it is very much unfair to nursery assistants to be working for 20-something and 30-something years and not being appointed. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. I think what is happening, and these are some of the areas that we'll have to regularize, because there's a difference when you're a GAE worker, even though you are working for the government, than when you are working as an appointed officer within the government. But what I can say to you is that we are looking at a comprehensive approach as to how we will be able to rectify some of these issues that you would have highlighted.
Good evening to the head table. I want to commend the government and also the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Education for implementing that the Spanish community kids can go to school. I live among many of the Spanish community, especially on my street, and several of them have kids. I don't know if this is a question, a suggestion, but I would say it anyway. Have the government ever thought, or know that you have implemented that the children can go to school? Have the government ever thought of employing as a teacher? Because speaking to the Spanish that lives in my area, several of them come here with a career, but they moved here because of circumstances and for a better life, but that does not mean they don't have qualifications in an area of job. So have the government ever thought of putting out there in the Spanish community persons who would have come with an educational background, whether it's in teaching full-time in school or at the preschool level? With all due respect, we teach Spanish and French in school to our children as an academic subject. However, the teachers who are teaching these subjects, because it is not their first language, they are doing what we call textbook teaching. The Spanish that are here, just like us, they do not speak what we call the proper Spanish. I call it Spanglish, because sometimes it's a combination of their English, what they pick up, and their Spanish, which is a dialect of Spanish. So even the Spanish children in school are failing Spanish. It's not just failing the English, but they are failing Spanish. And you will go, wow, but Spanish is their language. So my suggestion is perhaps look within the community to see if there's anybody who brings the educational background. Perhaps that can be done. Also, after school programs. The children will struggle once they are among their English-speaking classmates. Have the government thought of implementing classes specifically geared to English for the students, thus taking them off the streets where I see them running up and down because their parents are probably off working, and extend that same program to the parents as indicated, because if the parents break the barrier of the language, it's passed down to the children.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Comrade Chair. And just to let you know that if my memory serves me right, we have already interviewed, I think it's 3 potential persons of the Spanish community, one being a trained teacher who would be a part of the School of Linguistics that I spoke about. To my knowledge, there are 2 females and a male. The male is a very profound saxophonist, I think is Palanco. Right, so it's going to be a combination of the Spanish and the music that will be taught as well by him. But thanks for your recommendation. I also like the idea of the after-school program, because part of the campaign was to develop a national after-school program which we will roll out at the appropriate time. Because among the adult Spanish community, we have been offering English to our Spanish community for a number of years, right there on Corn Street in the church. So I have been supporting them, and it still continues. It went virtual, and that is being assisted by Mrs. Ingrid Charles Gomes, one of my former teachers. But I take that on board. We'll have to do something now for the children with the English. Thank you.
All right.
Good night, Mr. Hanley. I have a concern. It's been going on for years. In early childhood, especially for the nursery workers, we heard it from Nigel Cathy till Sean Richards till Jonel Powell and then so my concern is that when are we going to get vacation? We're working from January to December. We would like to know when we get vacation, like in the summer with this everybody else, instead of we working from January to December. I would like to know what is the plan to get vacation for nursery assistants.
And I'm happy to have this conversation with you, because your supervisors or managers should have already passed on the information to you, because when I met with all of the supervisors in our daycares and our preschools, we shared with them that we are working on doing some training specifically in early childhood so that persons can be rotated to our daycares and preschools so that persons can be relieved of their duties to take vacation. Because what we find happening, and I sympathize with you because that is something that I am going to see happen, because you are given vacation only in December, the amount of sick leave papers that we get every month, since I became the minister, I think at one point in time it was about 85. So we are working on that, and we are going to be able to provide the necessary support. So we send 2 or 3 teachers into this preschool or nursery daycare, and then 3 of them go on their 2 weeks vacation, they return, and then we rotate them. So we have already started working out those logistics from the Ministry of Education. So before December, some of you would go on vacation and not sick leave.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me just say that we are winding down. We've been here near 2 hours, so we're winding down on our activities this evening. So we have Dan in the back. Are there anyone else who would want to ask a question? We have another 2 or 3 questions. All right, so Diane, the gentleman that's next to Diane. Anyone else? And then I'll give the Deputy and Prime Minister a chance to bring the curtains down. Diane, go ahead.
Mr. Minister Hanley, could you please expound on your plans for children who fall on the spectrum?
Thank you very much for that question. When I became the Minister of Education is when I got to know more about the spectrum. And on my visit to the Spectrum Center at the industrial site preschool, I recognized that something had to be done. And immediately we had a presentation on their behalf to Cabinet, and the Prime Minister gave me the support to move forward with ensuring that those students, especially on the spectrum, we get them the attention that they so desire. We know that the last count, it was about 192 of our students who are on the spectrum, and the space that they're working in is very inappropriate, and as a result they have to rotate, and the children are not getting the adequate time. We are addressing that by, one, some of our teachers, we are providing training for our teachers in our primary school as well, because we don't want them to be labeling our children, but we want them to be equipped to serve our children. And most importantly, you would have heard it from me, you would have heard it from the Prime Minister in press conferences on the platform, that we are merging the Edgar T. and the Estridge Primary School over in Mansion to Tabernacle. That school will then house the Cotton Thomas comprehensive students, because up there in the village it was built to accommodate 50 students. We now almost close to 200, we have about 170. So they have a shift system. Students in the morning, students at home, and then they come, another set come in the afternoon. So what our good Prime Minister did was allowed me to engage the Taiwanese, and they are going to construct for us, for a gift for our 40th anniversary of independence, a school that will house our Cotton Thomas students. Those are children living with disabilities or challenges, and the Spectrum Center will also be there. 2 separate entities housed in one. Why did we do that? Because some of the services that those persons at Cotton Thomas require are the same that those students who are on the spectrum would need. So instead of doing 2 gyms and 2 sensory rooms and that kind of stuff, we are doing one so that by timetabling they'll be able to share. What I will say to us as well, I have said it and I will repeat it. We are looking for persons who would say to us, I am willing to go to study to do speech therapy or occupational therapy. Because the other challenge we have is that when we get the intervention from these specialists from overseas, their intervention sometimes is so short that just as they are making a breakthrough to the children, they have to return. So I think we reached the point now, and as your Minister of Education, I am working towards getting our own speech therapists here and our own occupational therapists so that we can work with those children that the comrade highlighted. Thank you very much.
All right, we have the last question for the evening.
Good evening. My name is Elvis Brandy. However, I had committed some crime in America, in North America, and I got deported back to St. Kitts. And at this current time, they're still using the crimes that I committed in North America against me in St. Kitts. I would like to know why. I would like to know why you still, because I already done sentence and being punished for these crimes, but being deported to St. Kitts is punishing me as well as North America. So I would like to know why. Excuse me? Right. How they punishing me? How they punishing me, right? In 2016, I submitted an application for a taxi operated license, and they keep putting me on the back burner. They said they was going to put me in to do the seminar in September 2016. When I went there, they never did. Every time a seminar come up, my name never be on the list. Recently, an individual approached me in Frigate Bay by Boozies. I was having a drink, and the person told me that I submitted an application for taxi license, but I will never get one because I committed heinous crime in America. So I would like to know what documentation that he has to prove what he said to me. For in order to accuse someone for heinous crime, you have to have some type of documentation to back up what you're saying. So I would like to know if anybody in the tourist administration have such documentation, and I would like to get a copy of such, because I never committed no heinous crime in North America or in St. Kitts. And I'd like to know why is it they're still using them against me?
Thank you very much for your question. I am not in a position to find out why they use it, because I don't think that might necessarily be the case. But I know from your interaction with me, when you indicated to me about your taxi license, I engaged the authorities, and what they shared with me, they are doing some revision because there are over 500 taxi licenses that have already been issued. 500 taxi license taxi operators in St. Kitts presently, and there are 700 applications right now for persons to operate as taxi operators. So that is the reality. The question is how many more taxi operators we might be able to accomplish or serve. But I know based on the interaction I had with you, that is the information that they shared, and I had a discussion with you about that.
Excuse me, sir. From 2016, May the 4th, to this present time, they have many more people filed after me, and their applications have been completed. Mine still is on the back burner from 2016. So my question is, how many individuals filed after 2016 and get through? That's to be the process is not there.
Okay, what I can promise you I'll do, I will take you personally to the authorities for us to have a meeting so that we can find out exactly what is the situation. Thank you very much. I will take you personally.
All right, so I'll allow Mr. White to address the question. This is the final piece. I will allow Mr. White to address the question that was asked earlier, that was written concerning housing.
Yes, a question was raised from the outside, a written question about NHC being able to build on sustainable land. Now, when we got in as the board of directors of NHC, I mean, that was one of the things that we kind of questioned. That why is it that NHC cannot build on lands given out by sustainable development? And when we took it to the cabinet and we alerted the ministers about it, and in quick time, they were able to come up with a policy that would allow now the NHC to build on sustainable development land. So just like you guys, the NHC has to apply to sustainable development every year for development land. And I think that's a misconception that a lot of people had all this time. The NHC's mandate is not really to sell land, but it's to develop land and build houses from the government's mandate. So I think that there was a groundbreaking initiative for the government to allow now the NHC to build on sustainable land, because there's a huge database of people outside just holding a land letter with nowhere to go. And I am pleading to the banks, especially. I mean, we understand that, coming out of a COVID economy, you guys might be a little risk averse, but all the phone calls and everything that we are getting every day, I mean, we think that the residents of Kitts-Nevis are now ready. I mean, you would be the biggest investors in this plan. I mean, I was showing to the Prime Minister that the housing plan for 2,400 homes is just over, once it's built out, it's going to be totaling over $615 million. And that goes right back into the economy, and you would be the biggest investors in this plan. So again, NHC can build on sustainable land. That is not a deterrent. You can go to the banks and ask questions. You can come to the NHC and ask questions. We are open for any questions.
All right, thank you very much for that. Now, just two things from me, and then I'll turn it over to the ministers. Well, I'd like to thank the panelists, Dr. Jensen Morton, for Director of Health Institutions, for making his presentation early this evening. Mrs. Zilla Clark, PS for Ministry of Sustainable Development and Gender Affairs, and Mr. Sean White, who is the chairperson for the NHC board. I'd like to also just for you to note that tonight's proceedings was just one of at least 10 initiatives made so far since this government has taken office in terms of being in connection with the people. Number one, we have the Government Information Service. Two, we have had one-on-ones on a constituency level. Three, we have had town halls. Four, we have had parliament. Five, we have had community activities on the constituency level as well. 6, we have had weekly cabinet updates. 7, we have had press conferences. 8, we have had the In Focus publication in what's happening in government. 9, we have had branch meetings that we have invited people to. And 10, we have had public meetings. So there has been several attempts, not just one, at least 10 initiatives to make sure we stay connected with the people, a promise that we made, and I think that is well kept. And so without further ado, I want to thank you, myself, for your time here with us, but I want to allow the Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable Dr. Jeffrey Hanley, first to make his closing remarks, and then the Prime Minister will close out the evening. Honorable Hanley.
Thank you very much, moderator, and I want to thank you for agreeing to moderate in our first zonal town hall meetings. Allow me to thank on my left all of my youths, Dr. Morton and PS Azilla, and on my right, one of my product again, Mr. White, Chairman of NHC, for being able to share with us this evening. And of course, I must say thank you to the Honorable Prime Minister for being here as well, because this is his constituency number 8 and number 1 meeting together. And to you, the constituents, I want to say to you, this is just the first of many other engagements. We are going to be meeting together like this on several other occasions for other things. Sports day, church, fundraisers, because once we stay together, we will remain together. I want to remind all of us that we head to St. Paul's tomorrow evening for our political meeting starting at 7:30, 8 o'clock, in St. Paul's, and then Sunday we meet on 4th Street for our last public meeting before Labor Day 2023, the first Labor Day march since we are in government. But to bring it all home, I'm asking all of you to come on out to Carnival Village on Saturday evening to support all of our ladies. But I must say to you tonight that I am rooting for East Bastia, who will sit on the throne. So you come on out and you support Miss Zarina Roberts, who will make us and do us proud. And of course, like I said before, all of the other contestants and constituencies. To those persons in the media, those who have followed us, we want to thank you, and I do look forward to your questions as well and continued comments. I want to thank the young people for the production of the sound and being able to carry us live. Let's give it up for our young people this evening. I'm so proud of our youths. To one and all of the organizers of tonight's event, the members of the East Bastia Executive, and we collaborated with the executive of constituency number 8. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming, and I pray God's protection over you as you journey in your vehicles or as you walk home. One of the things I forgot to say to you as an accomplishment, we have 3 constituency empowerment officers in East Bastia. These are the persons who are going to make sure that the issues in the constituency, some of what you shared tonight, they are now going to activate things and make them happen. Thank you very much, and I now turn it over to the Honorable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Jeffrey, Parliamentary Representative and Deputy Prime Minister. I want to also say to the good people of constituency number 8, thank you for journeying here tonight and really participating in this town hall, or zonal town hall meeting. As you know, the moderator is a member of constituency number 8. So this is a real effort of our 2 constituencies in this town hall meeting tonight. We would have addressed a number of critical matters. I want to thank you for being open, frank, and straight up. That is what these meetings are about. These meetings are about your government responding to your concerns and questions so that we can be a better government and so that we can address your matters as well. From tonight's meeting, I have learned a number of things and how people are being affected, and that is already informing us as to what we can do to address your matters. And to the people from the Hispanic community, I want to say that your government is already working for you, and we want to work even closer with you in the sense of providing translators for you so that when you go to institutions you can be properly served, and also for your children who come here so that they can have a smoother transition into school and be assimilated into the culture. So I want you to know that we are not leaving you behind. And to the people of St. Kitts-Nevis, as you can see, in just a short 8 months, we have put forward a platform, a foundation on which we will build the new St. Kitts-Nevis, a prosperous and peaceful St. Kitts-Nevis. That is our aim, and we have already been on that path of good governance, something that we have done together that no other could have done in all the years. We have also sought to make education accessible to all, improve the healthcare services. No matter how much they complain, I want you to know that things are improving, and we are making sure we get a good accredited hospital to serve you better. Our parliament has been very active in passing laws that are impacting our people here in St. Kitts-Nevis. The tourism industry, we were able to salvage it. The banks that were going down the drain, we were able to stop them from going down the drain and stabilize them, and we are in our process of stabilization and transformation. These are some of the things that we inherit that were really affecting our country very negatively, and therefore we had to act very quickly to make sure that we stabilize the situation and put us on a path of growth, resilience. And of course, our overarching goal is what we call the sustainable island state, which is a self-sufficient St. Kitts-Nevis, where we have enough energy, water, opportunities for economic expansion, and so forth. So join us on that path of creating a sustainable island state so that we can have a St. Kitts-Nevis that is a St. Kitts-Nevis that serves all of our people. So thank all of you for coming out. We look forward to seeing you over the Labor Day weekend and on Labor Day, as your support the labor movement is ensuring that the workers of this country continue to have improved conditions of living and conditions of work. Only the labor movement can do it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Let's get home safely. See you all at the Queenie Show on Saturday, meeting on Sunday, and 10 o'clock from Patsy Allers to the streets of Bastia. We're marching. Thank you.